And I'm like,
oh, we're live. Her makeup looks beautiful, doesn't it, guys?
thank you. It just does. No, I haven't put, this is funny. I haven't put makeup on because of this pandemic. Am I allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't put makeup on and like, I'm not going to just because I just asked that, but I haven't put makeup on in probably like 2 weeks before this whole thing started. Like
Yeah.
my mom told me like before like early
We are
February.
live. Let me
Oh,
introduce everything. Well, here. Okay, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome back. And that is just perfect. Like, this is perfect because this is why I love this woman. And yes, I have worked with her too. But why I love her is because she just shows up. She shows up unapologetically. She shows up authentically. She's a fucking genius. And she has a mastery around mindset and manifestation and really abundance and wealth and value and living in this truthfulness that is just something that I'm like, hell yeah, like so cool to have you in my circle. She's one that when I'm bored or I'm thinking of something, I'll like go to her page and listen to things just to like get a spark. I was doing my daughter's hair yesterday and the day before, and they're like, who is this crazy lady talking about this stuff? And I'm like, hell yeah, that's right. Right. And I thought it would be good brainwashing for them while I had them in a trapped environment. As my teenagers.
like for
Listen.
teenagers because you look so good. I'm like, keep going.
It's like, yay. So this is Molly Sapp.
Hi.
Everybody meet Molly Sapp. She
Hi.
like I said, she's a wonderful human being. She has a ton to teach. She is totally the embodiment of herself. She walks her talk as far as I can see from this perspective. And you know what, like she breaks through barriers. That's one thing that I really love about you, Molly, is you break through barriers. Like I was thinking this morning as I had my towel on my head and I was feeling this like press to do this deep like breath work with my community. And I had my towel on my head and everything. And I was like, should I just get on here with the towel on my head? And I'm like, no, that's me just channeling Molly. That's me channeling Molly. You go do you, Lachelle. Like, don't do Molly. But I knew exactly. Like I was connecting with you for today's interview because I really wanted to get on my live stream with the towel on my head. So anyway, Molly, please introduce yourself, share yourself with us. I'm really excited for our conversation and to see where it goes.
Well, I am too, and thank you for having me. First of all, then the makeup thing, I was looking down at my phone because you were telling me to share, and I was like looking like this because I put makeup on for the first time in like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. But part of the way that I've built my business, I've been in business for about 5 years, multiple six figures, and I literally just did the crazy stuff like putting on makeup on live streams, wearing towels on live streams, towels on my head on live streams, doing things that were kind of like what most people would be like, what are you doing? Like just almost obnoxious in a way. And it was kind of like channeling that girl who was misunderstood in high school, who like people were like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that like kind of wanted to give voice to women and men who have felt completely misunderstood and not knew where they stood or belonged or whatever, and like used that as their genius to impact the world. Because I can't tell you how many women have come to me and been like, thank God you like your makeup is crazy, or you do faces like this, or you do whatever the hell it is. And that's really been like the most fun of running my business and the most fun of my life, is being the one who's kind of out there, not kind of out there, but totally out there. And at the same time, just, empowering other people to do the same. At the same time, this is why I was asking you earlier, is this like an interview thing? Because I could talk for hours. I am a mindset coach, meaning I help people manifest their deepest desires. Money, usually. Weight loss comes in easily without even trying. Romance comes in. It's really, really cool. And I coach them and I help them manifest these things. And that comes from 20 years worth of research and study on the subconscious mind, religion, spirituality. I grew up in a Christian household and went to Christian schools every year except for my sophomore year of high school. And really just I was also studying performance arts and got deep into understanding character dynamics and archetypal psychology, and just was obsessed with it, and literally did so much testing and practical stuff and weird stuff to see how it was working, and just was obsessed, like 10 to 15 hour days for years on end. And so like this pandemic thing is kind of getting me into another one of those like deep internal like periods of study, and like, ooh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've helped coached hundreds of women over the past 4 to 5 years, and I've had an amazing experience learning from you and seeing you and watching you grow, and you're just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm thinking about what you've been talking about lately,
Yeah.
like in High Performance Female. Can I plug that?
Yeah, totally.
And then I've been thinking about like this thing, and what really comes down to is like, yeah, that's what I'm asking. Oh my God. Yep. Okay. Trusting your decision.
Uh-huh.
I know it's a continuation of what you've been talking about, but we've been talking about trust this whole time, right? And we've also been talking recently just about how, it can look messy.
Yeah.
Right? It can come, you can make a bunch of money, or you can find the man of your dreams, or you can lose a whole bunch of weight while, or whatever, you want to manifest. Those are the three most popular ones, right?
Yeah.
While doing it your way.
Right.
And there's so many other people's ways that they think is other people. One thing I love about you, and why I joined your mindset coaching program, and everything is, and why I still follow you, is because you do it your way, and you want everybody else, all of us, to do it our own way. You're like, don't fucking follow me. Like, do, but don't. I love how you say that. You say that all the time. Don't do anything online, but me. Show up here. I love that. So there's this deep trust that we've been talking about, and then making those decisions, so we're actually in charge of our own reality that we're creating. So we're anchoring this heaven on earth paradigm within ourselves authentically. I don't know where you want to go with that. I mean, that's like a can of worms, but there you go.
Okay. Well, I have a private Facebook group called High Performance Female, and thank you for the plug, by the way. And I took like a few months off of doing live streams. I mean, I've done several, like 700 something the last time I counted, like hour-long live streams for free. And I needed some time to integrate everything that I'd been learning. And it just so happened that I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and then all of a sudden this pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, if I can't, I have to get out there now. So I've been 3 to 4 days a week in my private Facebook group talking about this stuff that she's referring to. And it started as I just started doing random live streams, and then it turned into, let me do a challenge where I talk about how to have your deepest breakthrough during this period of isolation. And that turned into pretty much everything I say is channeled. And when I say channeled, it just it's like, think of a storehouse of 25 years, literally, of 10 to 15 hours of knowledge. And it's like, I'm all over the place, and, blah, 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 that it's like, you try to put me into it, put it in an outline and all that other crap, I'm gone. So it literally just spews out of me. And I don't remember what the hell I say. So at all. And so what happened is that I did this challenge, and then on the 4th day, it came down to making the decision to manifest whatever you want. and someone, and it basically went into a lot of like, the whole synopsis, I think that's the right word, of manifestation is you make a decision that you want to do something and you do it. That's the easiest way to say it. And my parents are both, if they see this, they might be a little, they're both shy compared to me. It's really funny. They both were alcoholics, and they both said to me at different periods of their life when they weren't even talking after they were divorced, that they said to me, Molly, the decision to quit was the hardest part. Mm-hmm. And that really stuck with me, especially when I was studying manifestation on this deep level, because it helped me to see that the decision to change, whether it's getting the love of your life or losing 30 pounds or whatever the hell it is, it's the decision that is the hardest part.
You've been talking about investing in times of fear now.
Yeah.
And that conversation that I was subjecting my child to yesterday, was just like, she was like, oh, she's got it, right? Oh, that's so good. And I'm like, right? Because it's not just during a pandemic. Like, this comes up constantly when we're investing in ourselves. Being a trauma coach, and moving through that, like, the hardest part is like, people can invest in a friggin' car, they can invest in school, they can invest in their business, they can invest, but you invest in yourself, and it's like, oh no, I'm not worthy. All the shit comes up, right? And so then you have the pandemic on top of everything. And it is really is that decision, because the second that I make that decision, things move up. But a lot of times I think people that are stepping into doing it their own way, whether it's like going out on a limb and wearing no makeup and their hair out and so forth and so on, right? Or like anything that's like against the norm, like anything at all, you guys, that you're doing, like that internal trust has been like this theme that we're having through this series. And without that internal trust, they're not able to make any friggin' decision, because there's fear of the uncertainty, right? Yeah. Which is what we're all saying right now. We're all like in it. So that's like a theme throughout, I think, the cosmos at the moment. So how would you say, how did they get to that trust?
It's interesting that you said, you mentioned the word trauma. And since I'm curious how you feel about this, one of the things that I have been investigating for the past 2 years is like really with my own internal stuff that I've dealt with my own trauma, is learning how to trust from, I dealt with a lot of codependency stuff. And so looking at, because it's, how do you get to that level of trust? It really depends on who you are and what your makeup is, because somebody who comes from codependency is probably going to be different than somebody who had, a non-codependent environment. Sure. I think that codependency is kind of a big, I don't want to say cornerstone is not the right word, but it shows a lot, because it's like there's this control issue where there's a lack of belief. It really comes down to a lack of belief, which is a lack of trust. So I would say the first thing that you want to do, just like a baby step, is to look at your ability to believe in whatever it is that you want. And, and there's also a feeling of lack of control when you have to trust, because, you
have to surrender.
Yeah.
And so whatever possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it is a lot of understanding where, like, our childhood.
Yeah.
And because, as you know, and coming back to mindset, like, as you know, it's when we're programmed.
Yeah.
And however we're programmed, one thing I'm talking a lot about right now is love, because people are like wanting to share the love and be in love vibration and like raise above everything and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you have a frontal lobe kind of love. And then you have like your subconscious nervous system kind of love that looks like your mom and your dad. So it could be codependent, it could be abusive, it could be all this stuff. And so you're saying in this that it's the exact same for trust.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
going to be in agreement with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, just a couple of examples of somebody's like curious, like somebody who's like comes from a codependent environment, their lack of trust is going to be because their relationships were like this because there was a lack of trust in their own ability to be whole by themselves.
Yeah.
If there's not that environment and it's like, I don't want to say normal, because what is normal? Where that didn't exist, then you just didn't get exactly what you wanted. So you're like, well, how do I know that I'm meant to have it? How do I know that that's okay? How do I know this? And, what, what, it's literally like that. So
Mhm.
it's a,
So
it's,
it kind of breeds confusion.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then once you're confused, you can't decide on anything. So
Yeah.
the trust is just like kind of irrelevant at that point.
Yeah. I actually had a chick, I did a live stream about confusion versus once you make the
I
decision.
haven't got to see that one.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about it though.
Well, yeah, because this chick was like, well, when I make a decision, I get confused and overwhelmed. And I was like, perfect, thank you. So the next day I did on confusion and overwhelm. And confusion means like, I can't remember the exact definition, but it's like buried, just, oh, no. Overwhelm is buried in uncertainty, and confusion is just like, nothing makes sense. Easiest way to handle confusion is write down what you're thinking. You'd be surprised at how much you can take care of confusion by writing down what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there you go, guys. Write it down. Write down what you're thinking. So right now, this internal trust. So something that you said sparked what I was doing this morning. So I have this book is downstairs. But I have this book that's a huge book about messages from the body. It's an amazing book. And so I was looking at bronchitis and bronchial stuff and like symptoms of the coronavirus, the pneumonia, right? And it's all grief, fear, and feeling like you've been like the family stuff, the old stuff in this book anyway, was like these people that have this chronic stuff or that suffering from this, there's something within them that feels like they've been controlled from the outside. So the fact that you're talking about codependence is like, that they've had this outside force controlling them. We could go government, we could go like whatever, right? So as a pandemic, as a world right now, we have this like outside force, and then the coronavirus symptoms, the cough and the congestion that people are getting is so specific that it's like pneumonia and bronchitis. So looking that up, it was all basically codependency. It was grief, it was unresolved grief, anger, and then feeling hopeless and helpless because and there was this weird word like happening, something, I don't know, HAP. Anyway, I was like, I've never seen that word before. I have to look it up. But like controlled from the outside world, right? Yeah. Having no control. So if you have no control, then you'd be in confusion. You'd be scared to make a decision, right? And then even if you have all of this wisdom and this enlightenment and you're trying to walk your own talk and your stuff that you can't manifest.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just kind of trying to like tie it all together because it's so like plain to me in front of my eyes as you talk. So where do you feel like going from here?
Well, like it's interesting with the codependency. Like I used to talk a lot about victim mindset, where one of the things that annoys the shit out of me was that there were so many mindset coaches, manifesting experts, et cetera, that were not talking about this victim mentality. And it's gotten a bad rap now because everybody's like, all of a sudden it switched and everybody was saying everything's victim mentality. And it's such a real thing that a lot of people don't realize that they can't manifest what they want because they're in victim mentality. And there's a lot of ways in which we can be programmed to literally think like a victim, because either, like you said, love just a little while ago, like a lot of us don't know how to receive like the love that heals us because we're used to having fucked up love, that's all we know, and then we're emotionally shut down for some other reason, and we're afraid to feel our emotions, therefore we're afraid to feel love, so then we're kind of like, I don't know. And then with the, with the way that you're wired and being afraid to stand out and step up in ways that the vast majority of everybody else that you hang out with isn't doing so it's like there's a lot of different intricacies, I think that's the right word, that can keep you stuck. And one of them is victim mentality. So if somebody's watching this and you're stuck and you're like, I feel like I can't change, I feel like there's some sort of something that's controlling me, especially right now, it's worth to go research victim mentality, go find a coach who specializes in helping people overcome victim mentality, because we'll always have a sense of victim mentality. It's how you handle it and how you respond to it.
So you really helped me in this area a couple years ago, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, whenever that was, because I had done so much work around victim and survivor mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, as a trauma therapist, like I had to. So I was like, I would catch myself in victim mentality, like boom, boom, boom. And you were like, just stop.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh my God, like me focusing on victim survival and catching myself in every little thing and like micromanaging myself, like a little person inside of me going, beating myself up and then making myself wrong.
Yeah.
Why am I still here? Why am I still here? And not remembering one of my first teachers, Carolyn Mays, she's like, as far as archetypes go, like there's victim archetype is one of the 4 that we all have.
Yeah.
Victim, inner child, the saboteur, just like the survivor, I guess, kind of mentality. And then the prostitute, selling yourself out. And so I didn't give myself permission for that at all. Anyway, but I remember you just saying, just stop. And you weren't the first coach that told me that. And I'm like, I didn't get it. But you were the first coach that I actually was like,
I say it with love.
I say it with love. I know.
Well, I vaguely remember, I don't want to say, I remember the energy of what we were dealing with. But now that you said that, I remember you were literally like that. And it was like, because we can do so much work that we're literally, and I've been in that state so many times, it's just the other level, right? That, like I said, with the victim mentality, we can get into where that's all we're looking at, and that's all, we can't, and it's sometimes even harder to come out of that mindset, because it's like then you have to step into abundance in an area that you might have never been used to having joy in your life ever. And something that I found out over the past 6 months is like feeling your emotions. People are avoiding feeling their feelings right now, as totally understandable, but we can also be avoiding feeling our positive feelings. It can be just as hard. So like feeling joy and abundant and all that stuff, especially when the collective is feeling such trauma, can be difficult.
Yeah, and we talked about that yesterday too. So I think we're like, I'm feeling this right now, is the message to you guys listening is that even if you've done all this work, right, you feel like highly enlightened, like you like are aligned and hear from God and like have all your woo stuff, as well as like you're grounded. Maybe you're super, super uber successful on the physical plane too, like money and homes and houses and blah, 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 whatever, right? And at the same time, you have this suffering happening inside you. You have this codependence. That codependence can be within yourself. And this is one of the biggest lessons, I think, now that I'm speaking it, like I got from you in that series, is that we can get codependent on fixing and noticing and watching our victim mentality, our negative emotions, our feeling better, our health crisis, our financial crisis, our like focusing on the negative can also become like a kind of codependent power trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like clear, I'm constantly doing clearings. I hear from people all the time. I've cleared so much. I've healed so much, but they're like in it still. Anyway.
Yeah. The thing that I have to say about that is I had clients come to me when literally would say that, and I would be like, and this is kind of fucked up to say, but I would say something like, okay, well then why don't you have everything you want if you cleared everything? That was kind of like, and that came from me doing the exact same thing, clearing, and still feeling like, well, what's the point in all this, when I was coming to the revelations that it's not necessarily the healthiest thing for you to be doing. Not saying don't do the work
Right.
at all. It's a matter of like, what is your definition of having cleared something? Because you can still stay broke, miserable, and overweight and all that other stuff, and having cleared things.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I'm kind of, I'm stepping over my words. Last year, it was more like, unless you physically manifested what it is that you want, that has like proven that you've cleared that, then you haven't completely cleared it. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to be that severe about it. I don't know if severe is the right word, but it is kind of like, is there really a point to the clearing unless you're actually past what it is that you were clearing? So really it's a matter of focusing on, how do you physically get what you want? At the same time, physically getting what you want also involves internal fulfillment that is physically manifested as well. It's like, you can manifest all the cool shit I have and be fucking miserable, and that is more traumatic than staying in your shit, in my opinion. So
wow,
I truly believe that.
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go where you wanted to go into like this playful, loving, abundant, joyful, these emotions that, in all honesty, like I think we're learning how to raise to, but it's so much easier. I have like my emotional skill beside me, like so much easier to feel fear, anxiety, apathy, hate, desire, anger, pain, pride, and courage, rather than love, joyfulness, joy, enthusiasm, exhilaration, and peace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you froze. You there? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. You froze. You're frozen. Honey. You're frozen. This is funny. I don't know if are you there? Hold on, everyone. Sorry. Like,
Hey, we're good.
okay, cool.
It happens.
Um,
So I was saying, you know, yeah, it's easier for us to kind of stay where we're comfortable.
Yeah.
In these like kind of high. I mean, they're energetic moving. It's not like regret, shame, embarrassment, self-pity, and failure, which is the bottom ring.
Right.
But how do we tap into that fun if all we've known is this like semi massive healer or victim mentality?
Well, it really, like, I had a coach say confidence is a muscle. And I think, like, I'm not the one and only person who knows everything. Sometimes I like to think so, but no, I'm not. This is it. It's
great at what you do. You can own it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the only person, but yeah, thank you. It's real. I think it's really a muscle, because like I think we've all felt joy. I think we've all felt peace. I think we've all felt it, even if it's for a split second. I think we need to, for somebody who's really struggling, is to go research and understand that like you can feel emotions in the darkest days, hours, whatever. It's how you choose to feel. Like, research happiness. They say that, like, you can be happy in any occasion. A part of me wants to like throw food at that whole saying, because like I think it's bullshit, but it isn't bullshit at the same time.
Mhm.
So you can feel emotions and just practice visualizing them and being in that energy as much as you possibly can. And I noticed that, like, when I started really feeling my emotions, that that it wasn't necessarily that it was harder for me to feel positive emotions because they felt hard. It was because I was so used to feeling, the shame and the guilt and the clearing and all the shit. And
Mhm.
it's really a matter of like a habit. As much as I don't want it to, I want it to be deeper because I'm into all that shit. It really is like, wow, it just feels different to my nervous system. And it just feels different. So it's like you just have to practice feeling different. So like several times throughout the day, set an alarm or whatever and practice feeling contentment, like journal about it. I know I did an exercise for like a few weeks recently, like a couple of months ago, um, January, I think it was, where I would literally just like every hour on the hour sit and like feel the sensations in my body for like 5 to 15 minutes and not
Mhm.
say anything, not try to explain it, just feel. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of wisdom in your emotions and just,
Yeah.
but it really, I think it's a habit, honestly. Because I mean, like,
Yeah.
I can feel excitement right now, even though it's completely different from what is going on with the collective. And I don't have like, you know, I didn't buy a car today type deal. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So I didn't buy a car today. It's nothing to be that excited about. Do you want to buy a new car? Am I hearing that? Is it time for Molly Sapp to buy a new car?
using an example, I that would make me really excited. But um uh yeah, like I was gonna buy a new car for like, this is way off topic, but I was gonna buy a new
I don't
car.
think so. I think it's totally on topic. I think it's on vibe. So everybody, you could just like match here. Come here.
The I have a 2012 white Jetta and it's got dings in it, and I had problems with it, but it was the first thing that I ever paid off on my own
Mhm.
from my business. And so, and it works, everything works. It's got like 100,000 miles on it, and I hit 100,000 miles on it like in January. And I was like, I remember seeing the speedometer hitting
Mhm.
100,000 miles, and like, because every other car that I'd had, it never got to 100,000 miles. And so I felt like I was like, you know, I did it. I paid off a car. Like I never thought that I would do something like that. And also at the same time, I don't know why this is coming out. This is funny. I had a silver brand new Honda Accord that I loved, but I got rid of it because I wanted to like start to really, pay for my own stuff. And I got a white Jetta instead, a base one. And I remember driving it around my car now when I first got it and like going like, why the hell did I get this car? I did not want this car. Why? I just chose it because it was, a quick, fast decision. And I love driving, and I will drive like long distances, like love to. And so I
Yeah.
was like, the next car that I get, I will want to have, and I will love, and I will want to drive it and be super excited about it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I have looked at everything from Porsche SUVs to Lexus sedans to Jeeps to Forerunners to Jaguars to BMWs. And I drove a Durango. Um, and I still am like, I don't,
You have a major decision.
yeah.
You have a major decision. So you've been in this like very logical state of confusion. You have this desire, right? You've been in this logical state of confusion. Molly's going to have a breakthrough. and I mean, this is so perfect for all of us to see. Did you see the joy that she's going to get, right, and tapped into when she's like, I want to buy a car.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I have this exact same thing, and we're looking at a lot of the same cars. So, and I can't decide. And I have a 2005 totally paid off myself, 200,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, Honda Pilot. And Peaches isn't acting very nice, but I love my Honda Pilot. Like, it was a car I researched, and I was like, right? And I was like, and we got it, and I'm like, yes. And then we paid it off, and I'm like, yes. And now I'm like, but I cannot decide on another car because my kids are older. They're getting their own cars, and I don't really need one that fits 8 kids anymore. Like, I could get something different, but I don't really know what I want. Well, I do actually. I know what I want, but it's $80,000.
Which one is it?
It is the Mercedes
G-Wagon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that is sexy.
Isn't it sexy? That's like, if I could pick any car, like, that's what I want. I'm like, oh, it looks so good in that thing, right? So I kind of made that decision, but at the same time, I have a story like, well, you're in school and you have $60,000 in debt, and not to share that, but I mean, it's like true, it's flowing, but it's just like, I can't go out and buy a car when I have this responsibility over here, right? So, but there's all that joy, right?
Yeah.
So I have this joy, and the confusion is for me of the car is that, but I could do that other SUV you just mentioned, the Nissan. I could do a Jeep. I really think Jeeps are really sexy.
They are.
I want something off the ground because Alaska, we have so many trucks here, like, and we need 4-wheel drive at least, and blah, 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 right? So I could do this, I could do that. So I'm looking at these cars. I could get another Honda Pilot, but I don't like the new one. So it'll be like 2013, 2014, because I don't like the way the new ones look.
Yeah.
I love the Porsche SUVs. I think that they're gorgeous, right? And then I have this taste, and I feel like I deserve all of this. But I'm confused about my bank account, I guess, too, at the moment too, but I'm going to own it. So, but yeah, so there's that confusion. So everybody, can you relate? Like, okay, we have this confusion, we have this car, we're both relating to it. And how do you then move into this decision? Like, do you go test drive all the cars? Do you try all the cars on? Do you like what would be their next step to embody that, so they can trust, right? So they can trust their decision, and on all the planes. I can afford it. It drives well. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. I'm going to feel sexy in it. It's going to get the right gas mileage so I can drive to the lower 48, or maybe that's my own story because you don't live here, but you could drive across the country, right?
Yeah.
And just feel really great about it. It will store everything. I can go camping in it. I mean, I have this whole list of things that I want my car to be able to do. I need it to just like unfold. I also want one of those vans, the Mercedes vans that I can make into a camper van and just go live in the van.
Live in the van.
I have all these plans. That's a lot cheaper. That's only $40,000.
Well, here's the thing. When I drove and this is a little insightful information. When I drove the Porsche SUV, I was literally like, I was in my little period where I was like, no, I'm not going to be like driving these super luxurious cars. I was like, I just don't want to do that for some reason. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go look at it. So I opened up the Porsche SUV, and I was like, oh my God, this, like, the inside of the Porsche is so me. I've never seen a car more fitted for me ever, right? I was like, oh my God, I'm a Porsche girl. Oh shit.
They're great.
Right? Yeah.
They're great.
They're like, it's so me, right? And then I take it to drive, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so not me. So test drive all the cars.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Test drive all the cars for sure. And then I also thought about the fact that, like, I make good money, obviously, but like the idea of, because I've learned so much about like putting money into retirement and saving stuff and all this other stuff. And like, I've spent a lot of money, and just knowing what my values are and what's more important to me.
Mhm.
Having a $80,000 car with having to take it in to get maintenance and all that stuff, it just is like, I'd rather put that in retirement.
The price of the maintenance on those cars is like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's a whole different level. And I'm like, I'm not even that
Yeah.
materialistic. Like, I'm a camper girl.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't even matter to me. I just like, why am
Yeah.
I attracted to this? That's the
Yeah.
other piece of me too. That's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. And I also am like, I'm one of those people who will like, does not like doing admin stuff like at all, like will avoid it and spend an extra $1,000 to not have to do it type of like the,
Mhm.
so it's like, and I hate when shit's wrong with my car. So I was like, I would much rather have a car that doesn't have a lot of maintenance, that isn't as sexy to the rest of the world, where I don't have to take it in hardly but like once a year. So
Mhm.
when I made that decision that I wanted that, like my gut, my heart, my mind was like, that we know for sure.
Mm. Okay.
That kind of like, so like,
So
no,
everybody, if you're listening, you've been listening, Eugenia talked about mind and heart.
yeah,
And we talked about heart, and then Carrie just talked about heart and gut, right?
yeah,
And we've been opening it all up and aligning with soul and doing this whole thing during this series. So Molly just said her gut, her heart, and her mind, when she made this decision, all lined up. So
yeah,
she has connection, you have connection with all those things, opening it up in order to say, oh, yeah, that's my truth.
yeah,
I can trust that. Is
yeah,
that the trust?
yeah.
Okay.
Like, and the best way for me to describe that is just like, I just know, like, I know I could be hanging out with nobody but people who are driving Ferraris and the most expensive cars ever, but
Bugatti.
Bugatti, McLarens, whatever. But I want my car that I don't have to take in for maintenance.
Yeah.
Um, just because it's a pain in the ass. I hate
Yeah.
that. And I also decided that I want red leather seats. I
Oh,
want red leather seats.
yeah.
Yeah. I
One
want
thing
red
I
leather.
am sure of is I want a burgundy car.
Ooh,
Burgundy is my next color.
ooh,
Yes.
fabulous.
That is something that continues to show up that I'm like, yes. Yeah, I love that. I don't know why I decided a couple years ago, but that's the only thing I'm really sure about. So my car hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, and and that's the same kind of decision. It's just like it, but it's a little bit more fun. It's a little more flavorful. So I think it really takes, patience, and also the biggest moment for me with the car thing that might be helpful for people who are listening to this is because I was making all this money, it was like, well, shouldn't you have a nicer car? Shouldn't you be driving a better car? And, that's the way you show off and da 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 da. And I was just like, I didn't want to. And I was like, is this me blocking, abundance? Is this me, being cheap? Is this? And then I realized I was like, and that comes from the lack of trust in the codependency thing, because a lot of times with codependency, you don't trust yourself to make your own decisions because you have to have that other person to help you make that decision. And so
That external validation that we're all trained to look at.
yes,
And
exactly.
you guys, like when it comes to codependency, I just want to say, like, I think everybody is codependent. In different situations, we're all looking for external validation. And why is because we were literally trained that way.
Yeah.
We were given grades in school, even if you had the most incredible, amazing family life. And your parents were like, be yourself and let you express, never wanted to put you in a box. You were still put in a box the second that you walked into elementary school.
It's a good, very good way of putting it. Totally. Totally. The, what I was saying is that, fuck, I lost my train of thought. No, don't worry about it. I was like wondering, was I blocking it and like needed someone else's approval of it? But this was like, I think it actually was my first big decision where I was like, no, Molly, you can trust that you're going to make the right decision about this. And I actually was on the verge of buying another car. but there was like, and my mom was with me and she was like, there's a really good deal happening right now. You're going to miss out if you don't like, like da da da. And I was like, it wasn't a bad situation or anything. I was just like, I am not buying a fucking car until I absolutely fucking know that this is what I want to do. I made this promise to myself. It's fucking done. I didn't talk quite like that to her, but having
that intensity, right?
Yeah.
That's a decision. That is a decision.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I had a couple clients come and see me, one right after the other. And one of them used to sell cars, and she's very glamorous and, into well, I mean, she is, but she isn't. But I said to her, I was like, I don't have a really nice car. And she was like, who gives a shit? And she was like, it works. That's a stupid financial decision to go buy a car if you don't know what the hell you want. And this. And I was like, it just validated, and like codependency, but it validated once again that I was like well on my way to making like my own decisions from a place of trust.
Yeah. So that's also a muscle, it sounds like. So they're all just muscles that we can just continue strengthening by getting clearer and clearer on what we want, why we want, and making the decision for ourselves, and just recognizing when we're seeking that outside validation.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference, you guys, or at least there's for me, and tell me, Molly, if you agree or disagree, but there's when I make a decision, like some decisions, or I have an awareness, or I have an aha, and then all of a sudden I like get like affirmation. I would call it affirmation from the world. That's like, oh, straight up, like I'm right? Interesting. Yeah. I didn't see that before. Like when you make a decision to drive a Jeep, I went through a couple weeks where I wanted to have like a lifted Jeep. And I was pretty sure about it. They are really hot. And so I was pretty sure about it. And then I saw like every lifted Jeep. Right? Like all of a sudden they're everywhere. So I think that happens when we make a decision. And then there's that need for validation, which is the codependency. So being able to recognize that about yourself. One thing that just was like so prevalent. Oh my God, I was going to ask it. Oh my gosh.
It'll come to you.
Yeah. So you're making this decision, you have the trust in yourself. Oh, okay. I might get a breakthrough here. It came up at the spur. I feel I might be blocked. I might be making shit up, but I feel like there's this like if I make a decision and it doesn't happen the way that I want it to happen, doesn't manifest just so, I'm like pushing it to happen. Like there's this like,
you're funny.
I can't explain it more than like, there's like this forceful, like, universe, you do what I say, rather than making a decision. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, totally.
I want a 20K month, right? I want 20 quick K months. This is straight. I want 20K months. This is it. I want this kind of launch. I want this, I want my calendar full of amazing clients, like these decisions. And although it's totally logical and like straight there in my face and like so easy, it's like almost, well, it can't happen because I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And that's probably why I can't.
Usually either one of two things happens with those. One, you're pushing from a place of subconscious fear where you're not fully aware that you don't believe that you deserve it or that the universe is going to give it to you because you, for whatever reason. And so you either
it's definitely the universe is going to give it to me because the you deserve it shit's like way played out.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like this not trusting the universe, not trusting because it didn't happen before because I had all this subconscious stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like it won't happen now.
Yeah. At the same time, you can make that decision and force it to manifest, but that never works very well. And you can literally train your mind to think that you can only manifest from a place of, I deserve this and I need this and da, 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 da. Yeah.
And that's how I got this house. I was like beating on my steering wheel. Fucking shit, you pay me $200,000 now. And I literally walked home to $200,000. Like literally, or double it really. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be from that place anymore. And I think a lot of people are like that. We're trying to go to this like place of lightheartedness and joy and those higher vibrations of emotion that we're not used to feeling, coming like kind of full circle.
Right.
But that's the only way that we've manifested. That's the only way that we've actually created shift or change, is by going into these deep, dark seated shadow shit. Oh, this is so, or this anger. And my agreement has been, I'm not going to fucking do that anymore. That shit doesn't get my attention anymore. I'm going to focus on creating more love, creating more joy, creating more health, creating more blah, blah, blah in my life, more fun, more innocence. Because the other stuff is too easy. Right? So, yeah. But the only way I've been really effective manifesting is from that state of pushing your power, anger.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I learned, about that with me is that it does originate with fear and anger and feeling like you haven't gotten what you deserve, and that, that it's really about that shift to being able to just lean back and things just flow. It's really a matter of trust, developing that trust. Interesting enough that we're saying that. And certainty and belief that you will get that or better for what you're asking. And I don't like it when it's so simple, but it's really like, the belief in yourself, but if you deal with codependent stuff, which like you absolutely are on point about that, if you're not validating that you have your own whole, nervous system, and I know it sounds weird, but like that you are your own person and that you have your own belief systems, you have to own that first before you can change your beliefs. Just make sure that you take on your own stuff as your own stuff versus taking on what other people's beliefs are when you're learning how to manifest, and like especially learning how to make a decision where you're coming from a place of trust.
Because for me, like the other piece that shifted since we worked together is that like I recognized, I think you might have actually thrown me into this beautiful toxic place now that I think about all this. But I really had to let go of any of my identity around any of my programs. Like my identity and my self-worth was so wrapped up in how much money I made or how they went or the validation and the accreditations and all the stuff that I literally, like, I had to step away from my business for almost a year and just say, I am like, it can do whatever it wants. It has a spirit of its own, has an energy of its own. I'm like, you got all of me for 10 years. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I had to really step away from that to not let that be my, whatever happens there is my worth.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's really like when you're forcing, a lot of times it's like, I deserve this. And it's like, in other words, you don't really feel worthy of it, or you haven't felt that you've made that shift, and you want to prove that manifesting it means that you've cleared it, right? At the same time, the getting those things, the physical manifestations such as the car, the boy, the man, the whatever, when you get it and it's just to prove it, you don't want to keep it most of the time, and it's a fucking pain in the ass. It's not what you really want. It usually is just, again, a pain in the ass. I've been there from personal experience. So it might take longer, but it's worth doing that extra work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a decision, there's a trust, and then there's all these little like angles of why that we can look at. And then when we do manifest, what does it feel like for those people that that haven't really felt it or myself, to the degree where it's just like, there it is again, there it is again. Like, what is that feeling? What is that vibration when you're not pushing? Can you explain it? And we'll end with that.
Well,
About embodiment.
a sexual analogy came to my mind. Do you want me to use something else?
No, whatever comes. Oh, I think I did intend that pun, but it just flowed right out of my mouth.
What popped up in my mind is that when I first started my business, I had a business coach who was like, lean back, lean back, lean back in terms of my sales. And I remember thinking, dude, the people who lean back in terms of selling, $10,000 plus packages are people who are just like, friggin' Wolf of Wall Street, like gangsters and stuff. And so like, it's like, and I literally had this analogy in my head, like men getting their dick sucked. And I was like, well, why does it have to be like men getting their dick sucked? What if it's about like you leaning back and receiving oral sex, and like just like, what's the journey that goes on when that happens? Because you literally like, I mean, you can fight it, but why would you? So it's, and like even do an exercise, journal on what that feels like to receive oral sex, and how does that compare to, like if that's the way that it felt to like lean back and to receive. Because ultimately, how great would it be if like every time you received something you wanted, it felt like energetically receiving oral sex? That's the fucking like thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope we all can relate. And if you can't, after this quarantine, you have goals. You can make a decision.
Literally.
Literally. I love you, and this is why. And it's just, it can go anywhere, right? From cars to really this ability, the most profound and incredible ability for the body and mind and spirit and everything to receive pleasure, to receive to receive life. I mean, that's truly how we create life.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just such a beautiful thing. Well, I want to invite you to just share how people can get in contact with you, learn more from you. I had a blast in this conversation. I am totally, just so you know, and everybody else, like I've shifted my everything, because I always want the same things. It's always the three same things, and it's always the same, and it's always different levels of it, right? But I mean, we all want the same thing. We want health, we want love, we want money. And we just like climbed the ladder of what that is. And I shifted all of that to wanting the breakthrough.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
I love it.
That's like huge thanks to you. And I receive it however it comes, leaning back.
But yeah, do some journaling on what it's like to literally be subconsciously fighting receiving oral sex. Like the person's like down there ready to do the work, and you're like fighting it in your head. Fight it on paper. Do that and act as if it's like the stuff that you want. It's a very interesting exercise to do.
Yeah, I will. I have something planned for my afternoon now. I have nothing else to do. All right. So yeah, how can people get a hold of you? How do you want them to? Well,
my website is currently like under reconstruction. But whatever. My email address is easiest. mollymsapp@gmail.com. M as in Molly, O as in Ollie, L as in Lolly, L as in Lolly, Y as in yellow, M as in Molly, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, P as in Paul, P as in Paul. That was a little annoying, but anyways. And then I have a free Facebook group. The best way is like if you want to actually see free content material and like legit hours of content, I've got like at least like 5 to 7, maybe even 10 hours of free content to check out more of my stuff in my free Facebook group, High Performance Female. And you can also shoot me a message on Facebook too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yes, and all of the above. So everybody, tomorrow we'll be back. I'm meeting somebody new. His name is Neo. I'm really excited to meet him, see where this conversation continues to flow and go. And then subscribe to your own university here so you can get notifications when we're going live. And if you want to reach me, lishaantica.com. Unstoppable Confidence Event is what's happening in the group that I'm just very newly building, and we're really focusing on it's never too late to have a happy childhood, because that's my genius. And Molly knows my story and knows that I should be depressed and like a crack addict on the side of the street. So even though I deal with some stuff, I know how to deal with it. Maybe a little too well, which keeps me codependent, but we're learning. But yeah, so Unstoppable Confidence Event is what's happening with me. And I am so impressed with everything that we just did. And I hope that you all have a massive breakthrough and get a hold of Molly. Her content is just incredible. You will grow from her lives. You will laugh at her, laugh with her. You'll see how she's just organically, totally unapologetically, she does it her way. And that's what I love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.